Hey everyone, welcome into the Scoreboard. I'm your host, Blake O'Rulian. On today's show, we check in with both the Eagle Valley and the Vail Mountain School athletic directors to get a preview of the upcoming fall seasons, and we get our first look at Battle Mountain softball as well. But before all of that, we had a chance to catch the Leadville Race Series on Saturday. The race was 100 miles across the high-altitude extreme terrain of the Colorado Rockies. Congratulations to Samuel Gilletley for his astonishing win, coming in 14 minutes before his closest competitor. When we come back, we'll have my conversation with Tom Laframboise, the Eagle Valley Athletic Director. Hey everyone, right now we are joined by Tom Laframboise of Eagle Valley High School. Tom, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
We are super excited for this upcoming school year. We are super excited specifically for the sports seasons to begin, as you are the athletic director, as well as the vice principal. We'll get into that in just a little bit. But I wanted to ask you, how has the summer been with all the athletic programs?
We've had a great summer. I mean, most of our coaches go year round with these programs, but definitely in the summer, it's kind of a less pressure, to work on skills and drills and have a lot of fun doing it. I've heard a lot of good comments from the kids over how the summer's been going, and it feels good. It felt like a normal summer for the first time in a while, so it's been really good.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. How has it been kind of getting back into normalcy, getting back into a regular schedule? Has it almost been weird for yourself and the coaches being able to have fans at the game, being able to, travel from different places without having to go through a bunch of different hoops?
Oh, it's so nice. It didn't take any getting used to. It was great, especially the fans part. Going to football games and basketball games and volleyball games and having no crowd at all was just weird. It was just quiet. It was like having practice. So last year, having fans back, even parts of it was masked, parts of it wasn't. It was great, and to be able to travel and just get rid of some of those restrictions, it's really helped our kids and our coaches start to enjoy it again. Where take some of that stress off.
The programs that are building up for these upcoming seasons, there's a whole lot of them, but I want to ask you, is there any specific team that you are looking forward to that you think is going to have a specifically good season?
Well, that's a tough question. Everyone always says you're playing favorites when you do it, but I'm really proud of all our coaches right now. We had a lot of success and a lot of sports last year, more so than what we've had in the past. I think we have the right coaches. I'm really excited to see what they can do with a real off season, coming into it seems to be a regular season for all our sports. We have a lot of the same coaches. Some of them have new members on their staff, but it's really all of them. It's going to be an exciting year for us.
One thing that I think is really interesting, and one of the most important parts of being an athletic director, is making sure that those coaching staffs are put together. What do you have to say about your specific coaching staffs, their assistants, and all of those things, and the programs that you are building at your school?
Well, as far as head coach, I hire the head coaches, and we go through, the same process. Hiring a bunch of them. I usually try and include kids and other head coaches or assistant coaches in the school just to get their input. So we try to get the right one. We're really looking at someone that sees the whole student athlete. They know their X's and O's. They know their technique with different games, but they also understand kids and where kids are coming from and can relate to them and at that level. And then as far as the assistants, I completely let my head coaches hire their assistants. They have to be a strong team. They have to be together. So I will help them if they want, but the decision is up to my head coaches on that. And then really we have full coach meetings to try to get all our coaching staffs to work together. And, last spring's a perfect example. We have 4 different teams vying to use the stadium for practices and games. And we never really had an issue. Just the communication between them worked great. They weren't arguing with each other. They worked with each other. So it's really helpful to get those guys all together so they know each other.
Obviously, being an athletic director is no simple task. What would you say is maybe one of the more difficult parts of the job?
Well, it's just juggling so much thing, but juggling it, you can do that. The time commitment it takes, it's tough, especially spring's the busiest. You get into work at 6:30 in the morning and get home at 10 at night, throughout the whole spring. So that's tough. I think the hardest is when you have to make those tough decisions that people aren't going to agree it's the right decision, but people don't agree with you because they just don't have that information. That always eats at me a little bit because I'm in this for the kids. I love the kids. I love watching them compete. So you always want to be there for them, but not every decision is going to be felt that way.
Speaking of athletes, I want to get into some of the specific athletes that you are looking forward to. I don't want you to maybe say any names or anything like that, but who are some of the different athletes? I guess I am going to ask you a little bit about picking favorites, but is there any specific athlete that you know of that is getting looked at by colleges, has a big season coming up, maybe has a historic season coming up?
We're getting as far as athletes getting looked at by colleges, I haven't heard of a whole lot yet this year. Usually, the way our athletes are getting looked at is during this senior year. That's where it's typically been. So when we get to the end of the year for Eagle Valley High School, it's probably typical we'll have about 20 athletes on a signing day that will sign at colleges. So right now, it's that I guess it's the exciting part of seeing who's grown and dedicated themselves over the summer, who's going to be that surprise. And that's whether they want to go to college or they don't want to go to college and play. But the changes over, from one season to the next, that is what is, I think, the neatest thing in my mind to watch this kid that really couldn't do a lot the year before, was just part of it, and then to excel and really find out who they are and learn their competence. That's special.
What would you say has been maybe the most rewarding experience being an athletic director, seeing, these kids go from someone who maybe wasn't looked at to be one of the faces of the school in one sport or another to turning into one of the best in the school? Do you have a specific example of anyone who's done that recently?
It's more of a general example because as soon as I name a specific, I'm going to forget one and I'm going to kick myself. The most rewarding part of the job, it's really cool when the kids are in school. You get to see them all the time. You get to talk to them. They're telling you about what they're doing, and then there's an excitement even when they sign for a school, or even if they're not going to play a game, they go to they tell you what college they're going to. That's all exciting. But what's really rewarding is when years later they come back and they stop in and they talk to you, and you get to know them as adults, and you hear the impact sports, school, different people had on their lives. That's what rewarding. That's really special to me.
You are also the vice president of the school, or the vice principal of the school, I should say. I apologize. What is it like having to juggle two huge titles at the school, two big jobs that have a lot of time commitment to them?
Yeah, it can be trying, especially like when kids came back after COVID. The fall semester last year was a little tough for all of us. But again, I think it comes back to I have a great principal. Greg Doan is amazing. He understands the time commitment that athletics are going to take for me. So he allows me to be able to do that and still be up there to help out, whether it's with coaching teachers, with discipline. Any of those things are all on there, but that's all part of the school. I guess all of it's there, even if you don't enjoy it, but a lot of it I enjoy. I don't know. I've been in schools for a long time, so I enjoy what I do.
Being that you are here at this school and that you've been here for quite some time, what would you say is maybe one of the biggest things that you've learned over the course of being both an athletic director as well as vice principal?
And I think it's a big keyword right now, but I think naturally as a young coach and young administrator, building those relationships was really neat, but you didn't really know about it till years later, the impact you had on kids. So now that there's more of a point at making relationships with kids, both in the classroom, as a teacher, as a coach, as an administrator. Again, that's the things you learn as you get older, how important that is, and how much kids will do if they feel like you know them and what you're doing. I think it naturally was happening before, but now there's a point about doing that and making sure that happens.
Is that something you really care about, is getting to know the players, making sure that they know that you are around, that you're there for them, and has that built the relationship? And do you think that's improved maybe the athletics at the school?
I think that's an important piece, and I'd like to do that a lot more. So often I'm at all the games, and you don't interact with the players a lot at the games. You interact with the rest of the students that are in the school, in the student section. I love our student section, and it's a great time to get to know kids out of the school. They can see a different side of me too. So it's more than just the athletes. It's those ones in the crowd too. And I'd love to be able to do that more. I'd love to be able to get to practices more and hang out with the kids. I miss that part of it, but it definitely does make a difference when you get that relationship for them with them. It makes a difference.
That's a huge underrated aspect of the athletics program in general is the student section. How excited are you to hear the student section during football season, see what they are able to bring in terms of energy to the crowd, as well as help the team out in a different way as well?
Yeah, I love our student section. We have a couple natural leaders that, it changes every year, but we get those leaders that are leading them in cheers. We don't have cheerleaders, so we've got students leading them in cheers. They're loud, and it's at football, volleyball, basketball are our biggest ones. But we even get groups of kids that just go up to the softball game and they like to get loud, and so they like to show up to things. I love that part. I obviously you always have to calm them down a little bit when they get out of hand. I'm really proud of our student section. That is definitely a point of pride for me.
Well, Tom, we cannot wait for fall sports to kick off. We are just right now, like right at the beginning of it. So we are really looking forward to continuing out this school year. Thank you so much for the time. We really appreciate it.
All right, thank you. I can't wait either. So I appreciate you guys supporting all the schools with this.
Of course. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We'll be right back right after this. Hey everyone, right now we are joined by Bobby Ecker over at VMS, the athletic director of that school. Bobby, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Very happy to have you here. We're super excited to talk to you a little bit about this summer and how things have gone. So the first question is just how have things been going over summer and what have you been up to?
Well, since the spring ended, we had a pretty busy spring. We had a lot of success with our spring sports teams that kind of dove into the summer a little bit. And then athletics ended and the school year ended, everyone graduated, and we've kind of just been looking forward to this year. We're just getting ready to start our fall sports, which is boys golf, boys soccer, and girls volleyball. Those are the three big ones that we host here at Vail Mountain School. Over the summer, I've been a little bit less busy than I normally am in the spring, but kind of tuning in a little bit, getting schedules ready and making sure I have all the rosters and transportation ready to go. So we're getting ready. We're almost there. Golf starts Monday.
Yeah, wow, yeah, so golf starts just this Monday. Have you been able to be in contact with the team at all? How much are they looking forward to this season and what are they kind of projected to do?
Yeah, so they're really excited. Our golf team starts Monday, and then girls volleyball and boys soccer start the following Monday, but school doesn't start till the end of this month for us. So they're just starting to gear up. Kids are getting back into town if they were out of town, and we're super excited. We've been meeting with coaches and getting all of our gear ready and communicating with parents. Haven't seen any of the kids yet, which is a bummer, but they've been busy. We'll see them on Monday for the first practice for golf, and then they'll have tryouts in about a week, and we'll kind of have that varsity roster ready to go. But we have a pretty strong golf team. Last year, our boys finished second in the regionals, which qualified them for the state tournament. And we didn't lose any seniors. So we're looking at a pretty strong team for this year. We're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 5 returning seniors coming in, a lot of really strong golfers. And then our juniors this year were all varsity players last year as well. So we've had a young team the last couple of years, and this year and next year look really bright for our boys golf team. We're aiming for a state championship. That's the goal. We've yet to have one. We got really close in the last 2 years, and we won our first regional tournament 2 years ago with some of these guys that are now seniors and juniors. They were only freshmen and sophomores then. So, really exciting year for our boys golf team coming up.
That's an incredible start to the season. Way to kick off the school year. That's super, super exciting. Outside of the boys golf team, who is, maybe projected to be one of those state champion projections, who are some of the other teams, maybe not even necessarily in the fall, but throughout the entire school year that you're really looking forward to?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, every team, they set goals, and one of those goals is to win a state championship. We're here to play. But looking at this fall, our boys soccer team looks really strong. We have almost 45 kids signed up for soccer right now, which is saying something. We're a small K through 12 school, and we only have about 165 high school students, and to have 40 of those, that's mixed boys and girls, to have 40 of those guys playing soccer is a big statement for how popular that sport is at our school. They had a good run in the playoffs last year. They got to the quarterfinals and lost. And this year we're actually going down a division. The Colorado High School Athletics Association, they classify 1A through 5A, 5A being schools that are much larger than the 1A schools. And they did a big shift this year, and we've normally been playing in a 3A league, which is above our normal capacity. We just play up, but this year they're making us play down. So we're going to be playing different teams, smaller schools, and that might play a factor this year in our success once we get to the tournament. We're really excited about playing some new opponents, traveling a little bit less, it looks like, which is great. But still playing a lot of the same teams. And then once we get to the playoffs, that bracket's going to be teams that we don't normally play in the last couple of years. So that'll be really interesting. We have a strong girls volleyball team coming in this fall as well. Last year we graduated some pretty valuable seniors, but there was only, I think, 4 of them. This year we have 8 seniors coming up that are really strong players. Looking at our boys lacrosse team, they had a ton of success last year. We went into the playoffs and had a heartbreaker loss to Aspen High School in the quarterfinals. So next year, hopefully see them again and move past them and get on a little bit further in there. All of our sports were last year, I think, was the first year that Vail Mountain School had every single one of our teams qualify for the playoffs, which is a big deal. We've grown a lot of athletes and had a lot of success in the last couple of years here. It's pretty cool to see.
Bobby, that is unbelievable. I mean, such a small school, yet seemingly on the sports side of things, absolutely dominant. I mean, this is unbelievable to be hearing all of this stuff. This is so interesting. I wanted to ask you specifically, with so few kids, yet you're able to build these teams, and it seems like these athletes are competing at a very high level. Are there any specific athletes who you are most likely looking forward to? Maybe a senior who is looking towards playing a Division I at the Division II level?
It's hard to say until we get into the season. It depends on what these kids have been doing in the off season. For volleyball, we're really excited to have an athlete, a senior athlete named Sky Karsh come back. She did a semester at the Caribbean school last year and missed the volleyball season, which was a huge bummer, but she's been playing club and she was a starting as a freshman. And so she's coming back this year as a senior and a leader. And we have another senior with her, Liliana Tanazzi, who is also another great athlete for us. So that's the volleyball side of things. On boys soccer, we have some pretty amazing players. Mason Geller is an athlete to look out for this year. He's our starting goalie for the boys soccer team. And last year he led our team in points for the lacrosse team. And he also played basketball. He's a 3-sport athlete, mainly a lacrosse player, but he'll be starting his season in the fall playing soccer. He's right up there with, all of the best goalies in the state. He is one amazing athlete. So keep an eye out for him, both on the soccer field and especially on the lacrosse field. I know he's looking to play lacrosse in college in the future. We've been kind of gathering footage for him and looking at different ways to apply to different schools. So that's definitely his passion is lacrosse, but he plays all 3 sports. He's a serious athlete. We have a really strong alpine and Nordic skiing team as well. And I'm trying to pull up my rosters to kind of see, who's going to be those people to look out for this year. But yeah, we have so many athletes out here that are making this happen. And, at our school, we only offer, generally for the boys, in the fall, they can play boys soccer or boys golf. We don't have enough athletes to do a football team. And then, in the winter, it's either basketball or alpine. And then in the spring, the boys only can play lacrosse. And the girls, it's very similar. We kind of just focus on 1 or 2 sports per year. And those guys are able to kind of, it helps us get our numbers and bring it forward. So yeah, I guess those are a couple of guys to keep your eyes out for this coming year. Looking at the basketball roster, we have other athletes that are playing multiple sports. I'm looking at guys like Tommy Steele, who's going to be a stud on the soccer field and the basketball field. He'll be a senior this year, which is great. So yeah, we have all sorts of athletes to keep your eyes out for.
Well, Bobby, thank you so much for the time. We really appreciate it. We cannot wait for your schools to start getting sports going up this upcoming Monday. So we're really, really looking forward to that. Thank you so much for the time. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for meeting with me today. You guys have a great day.
Thank you. Welcome back to the Scoreboard. Thanks so much to both of the athletic directors for giving us a preview of the season. It's going to be a great one, and the entire Scoreboard team will be out in the field covering all of the action. In fact, the crew had a chance to catch the Battle Mountain softball team in action just last week. The girls fell to Vista Peak Prep on Friday with a score of 15-2. This was a non-conference game, so an excellent chance for the Huskies to get warmed up for their season. Here's what our head coach had to say about their performance.
Welcome everyone to the Scoreboard. I'm Brett Ferraro, joined here by Allison Brost of Battle Mountain softball team, who just finished their games against Park Vista here at the Eagle Fairground Sports Complex. Thank you so much for joining me, Allison.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
How did you feel your team played tonight?
I thought they did absolutely fantastic. They did everything that we were asking. They never gave up. They were focused on the fundamentals. We figured out the things that we have to work on, but overall we're so proud of their attitude, never getting down on themselves. The seniors did an awesome job being leaders. Everybody, I think, showed leadership qualities today. It was great.
Oh, absolutely. Watching the game, I felt that they were full of camaraderie and sportsmanship and that they played extremely well. What are some of your goals coming into the rest of the season?
Just continuing to work on those fundamentals. We did it pretty good working as a team, but I think we can really build on that as we go through the season and just working on those situations. Really just keeping a positive attitude and going out there and trying our best every day. That's all we ask of the girls every day, and they really brought it today, and we continue to keep having that. So
amazing, Allison, and I hope that you and your season goes extremely well. This is your first season,
yes,
correct?
First season ever, yeah.
Amazing, and I really hope that this program comes to stay because these girls seem to love the sport, and I'm so glad that it is in the Valley now. So
Absolutely.
That's all the time we have for this episode of The Scoreboard. If you have a story idea, email it to us at scoreboard@tv8vail.com. We can't wait to hear from you, and as always, visit our website, thescoreboardnation.com, to see content that you may have missed. For the entire Scoreboard team, I am Blake O'Rulian, and we will see you all next time.